How Japanese culture handles sadness differently. Sadness is universal. We all feel the weight of disappointment, grief, and loneliness. However, how we process and express these emotions can be deeply shaped by the culture in which we grow up. Japanese society, with its rich blend of tradition, social etiquette, and aesthetic philosophy, approaches sadness not as something to be fixed or hidden away, but as something to be acknowledged, embraced, and even appreciated. In contrast to many Western attitudes that see sadness as a problem to solve, Japanese culture offers a subtler, more introspective framework for handling emotional pain. The aesthetic of sadness,物の哀れ. At the heart of the Japanese perspective on sadness lies the concept of物の哀れ, a term that loosely translates to the pathos of things. It's a sensitivity to the ephemeral nature of life and a gentle melancholy that comes with recognizing the beauty in impermanence. Cherry blossoms are the most iconic representation of this idea. They bloom gloriously for a short time, then fall. Rather than lamenting their brevity, the Japanese celebrate it. The petals fall is not just a loss, it's a reminder of life's fleeting beauty. This worldview doesn't just apply to nature, but to relationships, aging, and even failure. It encourages acceptance rather than resistance. Sadness, in this context, is not a sign of weakness but rather a manifestation of deep emotional awareness. It connects people to something larger, a shared human experience, a cycle of beginnings and endings. Emotional restraint and group harmony. Japanese society places a high value on WA, or harmony. Open emotional expression, particularly of negative emotions, is often seen as disruptive. This doesn't mean that Japanese people don't feel sadness as deeply as others. Instead, they learn to manage it in ways that maintain social cohesion. Public displays of emotion, especially in formal or professional settings, are typically subdued. People may mask their feelings behind a polite smile or quiet demeanor. A practice known as tadamai, public face, which coexists with han, true feelings kept private. While Western cultures often encourage individuals to let it all out, Japan leans toward introspection and containment. The goal isn't to repress sadness, but to avoid burdening others with it. This can be misunderstood as coldness, but it's more accurately a culturally conditioned sensitivity to the emotional landscape of others. Ritual and routine. Coping with grace. Japanese culture also incorporates sadness into daily life through rituals and routines. After a death, mourning is structured through a series of customs, from funeral rites to annual memorial services, that provide space for grief without forcing it into raw emotional displays. The act of bowing, offering incense, or visiting ancestral graves isn't just tradition. It's a silent language of loss and remembrance. Even beyond mourning, many Japanese cultural practices offer subtle ways to cope with sadness. The art of ikebana, flower arranging, shodo, calligraphy, and seido, the tea ceremony, are not merely crafts, but meditative practices that channel emotion into expression. The focus, precision, and quiet of these arts allow a person to find solace and reflection without needing to articulate their pain out loud. Wabi-sabi, finding beauty in the broken. Another important idea in Japanese aesthetics is wabi-sabi, which embraces imperfection and transience. Cracks in pottery are repaired with gold through a technique called kintsugi, which highlights rather than hides the damage. This philosophy sends a powerful message. What is broken can still be beautiful, and perhaps even more so because of its flaws. Wabi-sabi is not just an artistic ideal, but a way of relating to life and sadness. It teaches acceptance, humility, and quiet resilience. Literature, film, and melancholy. Japanese literature and cinema also reflect this cultural comfort with sadness. The works of authors like Haruki Murakami or films by directors like Yasujiro Ozu are steeped in a slow, meditative melancholy. Characters often experience profound loneliness or loss, yet there is little melodrama. The emotional weight is carried in silence, small gestures, and the spaces between words. This storytelling style mirrors the cultural belief that sadness doesn't need to be shouted to be felt. It can sit beside you quietly, like an old friend, until it's ready to leave. A different kind of strength. In the West, resilience often means bouncing back or overcoming sadness. In Japan, resilience can mean learning to live with sorrow, honoring it as a valid part of the human experience. It's not about victory over emotion, but coexistence with it. In this way, Japanese culture offers a gentler, more poetic approach to sadness, one that doesn't seek to eliminate pain but to weave it into the fabric of life. In doing so, it creates space not just for sorrow, but for a deeper, more enduring kind of peace. If you found this video useful, we'd really appreciate a clap. For more insights, don't forget to subscribe.